Hey guys, my name's Amir and I've helped hundreds of people learn to move better with greater confidence and finally stop feeling like their bodies are fighting against them whenever they try something new. Now, one thing I found is that when trying to learn a new movement skill, most of us go through the same process and then run into the exact same wall because we go through all these mindless, endless drills and just hoping that if we bang out enough reps, eventually something will finally click and it'll all work for us. But as it turns out, that's not the most effective way to go. In fact, I rarely train by doing the same drills over and over again anymore because the real breakthroughs came whenever I changed my approach to practice itself. So today, I'm going to share with you 5 science-backed principles that I've used to help me to learn much faster, move much better, and feel much younger, even in my mid-50s. Now, these are the same exact 5 principles that I use to learn my favorite movement method, which is this rope flow. But they're not specific to rope flow. You can use them for any skills-based movement practice you want to learn, whether it's dance, martial arts, Tai Chi, handstands, Qigong, whatever you want to learn, these methods will still apply. So I realize that some of you might be new here and saying to yourself, what in the world is this rope flow stuff you're talking about? And I understand, because it's maybe not as well known as something like yoga, right? But it's this very fun, engaging movement practice that combines coordination, timing, rhythm, and skill into a full body exercise that's very easy and low impact on your joints, but very high fun factor. So once you start, you tend to continue doing it, right? And if you're interested in giving it a try, but don't really know where to get started, check the link in the description for our course. It's called Rope Flow Essentials, and it's also good for you if maybe you've already tried rope flow, but you still think you could bone up on your fundamentals a bit to improve your practice. Give us a shot. We'll see you in the description. Now, let's get on to the fun stuff, because these 5 principles help me to learn rope flow much faster than most people, and they can help you too. So in my opinion, drills are really just meant to be tools of the trade, right? So it's like sandpaper. It's great if you want to refine the edges on something you're working on, but it's awful for improving, really, because if you just keep standing there doing the same thing, you'll just be standing there doing the same thing. You're not getting any better. You're just getting better at that one specific thing, as opposed to getting better overall when you drill. So then you'll have to drill about 1,000 different things to finally get to where you want to be in terms of your, proficiency in any given skill. The better way to go, spend 5 minutes max on your drilling and then spend the rest of your practice time in something more productive that helps you improve in an overall fashion, like freestyle expression. You see, that is where the real magic happens. It's where I spend 80–90% of my training time, whether it's with the rope or anything else, and I expand my boundaries. I get into being creative and looking for different ways to approach the same movement principles, as opposed to doing the rigid robotic over and over repetitive drills in the same area. I go all around those areas, right? I want to see what can I do and what can I not do, and challenge some of those limitations in my own physical abilities. Now, when you do this, your brain lights up like a Christmas tree, and you start to become more proficient in ranges all around the range that you might have been training with that drill or those drills that you were doing. So you learn those drills, you learn those movements even better and much faster when you expand beyond just the beginning training wheels of those drills that you might have used when you first got started. Now, this next principle is really important, and you should really make sure you take it to heart. Don't skip over this one for sure, because you want to become a master of self-analysis, right? You want to make sure you record yourself or find a mirror or something, because the way our bodies and our minds work, right, the proprioception is not to be trusted. You think you're doing something one way, but until you record yourself and see how you're doing it, you don't really know if you're doing it the way you think you're doing it, if you're doing it the right way or the way that you want to be doing it, whether it's someone else that says it's the right way or not. So I recommend the first thing you do when you start, whether it's rope flow or anything else, is begin to periodically record yourself, and not only record it, but review it like you're studying tape, like you're a professional athlete that's studying your opponent or studying yourself, and find the things that you like, the things that you don't like, and zero in on eliminating the things you don't like and improving and maximizing the things that you do like, and you'll improve by leaps and bounds in a much, much more rapid fashion. I promise you this. And I know that for a lot of us, recording ourselves is such a pain in the butt, and even for myself, it was that way at first. But I tell you, when I started recording myself and I started going back to look at those recordings in a critical eye and understanding, grasping what is the thing about that move that I liked and what is the thing about that move that didn't strike me the way I was hoping it was going to come off, that analysis in and of itself will keep you improving in a much more rapid pace. Now, I know this next one for some of you is going to sound a little too frou-frou. You're going to be like, but I promise you it is not to be taken lightly, okay? The next one is called visualization, where you mentally imagine yourself doing the repetitions, doing the movement, whatever your practice is, whether it's rope flow or not. So in the case of rope flow, you won't have a rope in your hand, but you'll be imagining that you do, and you'll be doing the movements, even whether it's physically or just completely mentally, to show yourself in your mind moving in the way that you want to move and looking the way that you want to look, right? It's very powerful, and it has almost exactly the same impact on our brain as physically doing those movements in real life, right? So you can spend that time when you're not training, and without having the physical exertion part of it, you can do the mental part and still get better in your off time. You'll find this is true in rope flow, especially because a lot of times people will say, I'm struggling with this move, I can't get it, but then they'll go to bed, sleep on it or whatever, and the next day all of a sudden it's much better and much easier. They can do it better. That's a part of the visualization, especially if you have given thought to, why can't I not do this move? And it pairs very well with the practice of recording yourself, because when you see how you actually move, then you know what you want to change, and you can visualize those changes in your mind, and they become the reality of the changes in how you actually move, believe it or not. Okay, so this may be last, but it is far from the least, and I call it shunning the comfort, right? So you should remember that comfort is really your enemy, okay? When you get to the point where you're just doing the same thing and it comes like natural without even a thought, it's so easy and smooth to you that you don't even have to worry about it. You know how to do it just like that. That is the place where you want to eject from that mission and turn to whatever is next on your list of things that you don't do so well and work on those things, okay? Because once you get into the point where you're grooving so much into one thing, that groove can eventually become a rut that you cannot get out of. Your body, you train your body too good to do that same move or that same sequence of moves or that same pattern, whether it's a kick or a certain way that you jump or whatever your movement discipline is. Once you've gotten it mastered at one area, that is the area that you want to pivot from and focus on something else. Now, I'm not saying that you stop doing that move altogether. You know, you might like it, so you want to do it from time to time, but make sure that it is not a repetitive thing that you always lean on like a crutch, right? Because that is when it becomes detrimental. You cannot, you can't be your greatest self if you're stuck, playing back your same old hits that you had from last week, last month, last year. Find new hits to get better in the areas that you're weak, and that will be the one thing that will help catapult you into a much quicker proficiency level that you'll see other people who don't do that will not be able to keep up with you. So that's basically it for today, y'all. I want you to drill smart, play a lot, record yourself, right? Visualize like a pro, and never let yourself fall into a comfort rut for too long. And if you follow those principles, you'll find that you can learn pretty much any movement skill much more quickly. It not only helped me learn rope flow much faster than most people do, but also it helped me to enjoy the process along the way. And really, that is the whole point, right? If you can enjoy what you're doing in your training, then you'll continue to train on a regular basis and you won't fall off the wagon like everyone else does after just a few weeks. Now, if you've already gotten past the early beginning stages of your rope flow journey and now you're ready to go deeper, right, into smoother transitions, more advanced movement and flow mechanics, and really working to find your own unique style of flow, you're going to want to check out our course. It's called The Art of Flow. It's currently in limited release beta for some early students, but also there's a rapidly growing wait list where you'll get 30% off when the course's doors finally open for good. So check out the link in the description, and we'll see you over in the dojo.